Greetings, Field of Dreams fans, one and all, and welcome to the first episode of the Field of Dreams Movie Sites podcast, The Dream Nation Show. I'm your host, Roman Weinberg, and we are ecstatic to have this new channel of content for you, the followers, where we will interview anyone from authors, actors, former athletes of any sport, and beyond. And this will really be a platform for you to learn more about the movie and celebrities and their connections to the film. So our first guest is an actor with over 30 years of experience and is most widely known for the Field of Dreams, and he played the role of John Kinsella in the film. It is Dwier Brown, and we are extremely excited to have him as part of this first episode of the Dream Nation Show. So, without further ado, here is the interview with Dwier Brown.
Hey, Dwier, thank you for taking the time to talk with me this morning.
I appreciate it, Roman. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, hey, good to hear from you. So, let me start with, I got to ask, what are your thoughts on heading back to the field 30 years after the premiere of the film?
Well, I am always excited to Dyersville. I grew up on a farm in Ohio, so, coming back there, it always feels like home to me. I made a lot of friends with, a bunch of locals there. I mean, the Lansings and the Ghost Players. I mean, Carl and Elaine Burkle out there at the Ponderosa. Everybody treats me, so well when I'm there, and the field itself is, I mean, honestly, it's a magical place. I think I was also in the movie Gettysburg, and we shot that on the battlefields in Gettysburg, and there's a very hallowed feeling about those battlefields for obvious reasons. But
yeah, sure.
I really think that the field there at in Dyersville has the same sort of magical. I mean, you can feel how many people have brought their relationships with their dad and others, their brothers and everything to that place, and it sort of left them there, and they sort of, I mean, to me, they kind of swirl around that place like the Ghost Players, and to me, it's always fun. I've been there when it's in the dead of winter. I've been there in the summer with 3,000 people. I've been there by myself, and it's always some magical thing, So I'm very excited to see my old friends, meet some new fans. What else is great is watching the movie on the field. That is, almost surreal. Having shot the movie on the same field and then watching it with the fans on the field. Then when the movie's over, they turn around and see me. I'm just there watching it with them, and it's. I mean, the last time when we did this at the 25th anniversary, that people just broke into tears because, like, here they just watched John Kinsella walk out of the cornfield, and there he is, literally standing in front of them in flesh and blood. So. It's pretty amazing, and I've had great times playing softball on that field too. So the Ghost Players are all fantastic, and to kind of be back there with all those the great Iowa Hall of Fame athletes, Nick Collison and Lane Danielson, Adam Haluska, and Todd Sears, all these great guys. I can't wait.
Well, that's great. I mean, we're excited to have you back, and it'll be good for me to see you again. It's been a while since I've seen you. So, all right. So what does the movie mean to you personally? I know it was an interesting point in your career, and it was a great time for you. So go into what this movie means to you.
Well, I always tell everybody it's my favorite movie I did in my whole career. I mean, I've been in hundreds of movies over a 37-year career, and frequently with movies, there's always something that's that people can't see when they watch the movie, but, it's like terrible shooting conditions or, some actor on the set is kind of a jerk and, you hate going in every day, but everybody on the movie was so nice. And of course, like I said, it's in this beautiful farm and a farm very much like the one I grew up on. So that felt great. And, playing baseball and, the magical nature of the script itself and, Kevin's career was just exploding. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know Bull Durham came out while we were shooting Field of Dreams. So he was in Iowa when that movie came out, which just kind of exploded his career. And between takes, he would go to his trailer, and he was writing Dances with Wolves with Michael Blake in his trailer while we were shooting Field of Dreams, just as Bull Durham came out. So it was a crazy intersection in his career, and that was just fun to watch because, Kevin he's just a he's just a really fun guy. He's like, you'd want him to be your best friend. He's a really a wonderful guy. And my only regret about the whole movie was that I didn't get to watch it with my dad. I don't know if people know this, but I wrote about it in my book. My dad died 36 days before I went to go shoot that movie in Iowa, and it was sudden and unexpected. So I was heading to Iowa, and I got a call from my mom that my dad was in the hospital. So I rushed to Ohio, and my dad died that night. I mean, fortunately, I got a chance to talk to him, but it was such a surreal experience to leave my father's funeral and then go to Iowa and be playing a dead father coming out of the cornfield to play catch with their son for a last time. So it certainly made the movie a more profound experience in my life for a lot of reasons. I mean, and none that I expected. But what's amazing to me is that movie has kept my dad's memory alive for me because, when I see people, they recognize me from the movie and they tear up almost automatically. It's like Pavlovian now that people have seen that movie so many times that they see my face and they tell me about their dads. And I love it because it's my way of experiencing the movie with my father, vicariously.
Sure. That's great. So while you were here, I'm sure you have a lot of stories about filming and everything. So why don't you tell us your favorite moment of filming the movie?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. It's sometimes difficult when you're in a movie. Your experiences are different because you're shooting a movie in these little bits and pieces, and it's not all beautiful, and there's camera crew everywhere. But I have to say, one of my favorite moments of shooting that movie was driving down that driveway at the Lansing farm there for the first time. I mean, I'd read the book many years before, and of course read the script. And by the time I was arriving at the set, they'd been shooting already for a month. They had already built the baseball field. So, yeah. I mean, for those of you who haven't been to the field and seen, it's just magical, that long, long driveway. And you can see the field there, but if you don't know what you're looking at, it's very strange, and it was just magical. Like, just starting down that driveway was just amazing. And every day we went, I had the same feeling. Like, it's like watching something from a book come to life. And it was really, really profound for me. And shooting the final scene that I was in, here I was. I mean, I was supposed to be there for 3 days, to shoot this scene. It's 6 pages at the end of the movie. They ended up extending my stay because they were so far behind schedule and because they decided to shoot that scene at magic hour just after sunset. We could only shoot like 15 minutes each day. So we ended up shooting that scene sort of alive in time. When it got close to sunset, the whole crew would run out of the house or wherever they were shooting and set up really quickly. And, it would be, let's say, a shot of me saying, is this heaven? And we'd get 2 or 3 takes, and then it'd be too dark to shoot anymore. And then the next day we'd come back and we'd shoot Kevin saying, no, it's Iowa. And then, it was almost back and forth. But it was kind of difficult as an actor because, Kevin and I both had to get into that very tenuous, sentimental, sweet, tender mood that scene captured. And we had to do it every day, at sunset, kind of turn it on, turn it off. There's also almost like doing a play where you have to bring it every day. But also the crew and everybody was so respectful. I've worked on movie sets a lot, and those guys get kind of jaded from shooting movies. They don't always get the magic of the movie they're shooting, but that scene, I think everybody involved brought their own father to the field, and they were all swirling around as Kevin and I were having that emotional scene. And of course, my dad, I felt his presence there as vividly as any of the ghost players, and that made it very strange. And as far as watching the movie, I end up watching the movie because I host screenings. I get asked to do that quite a bit. And one of my favorite movies is Tim Busfield walking right through the pitch. Because you can't see the ball players. I could watch that on a loop all day. I love Kevin. I love Kevin, do an old brag about, hey, see if you can hit my curveball, and then, you know, having Ray just drill it right into the ball bag there. That's, you know, Kevin is underrated as a physical comedian. I think he is. He does some funny stuff in that movie, and so I keep finding more and more moments that I like, you know, that I wait for. But probably, those are the moments that stick out to me.
That's awesome. So I got to ask this, and I know you touched on it before about you being recognized by fans and for your part in the Field of Dreams, but I have to ask, how often are you asked, hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?
I suppose I've heard that a few times over the years. You know, to me, it's kind of nice. You know, I know some celebrities get tired of being, you know, bothered by fans or whatever. And fortunately, I'm not that kind of actor who gets bothered all the time. But people who recognize me, you know, it's surprising to me after 31 years ago that we shot that movie, that people still see me. But, you know, to me, it's just a compliment. You know, for them to have mentioned that line, "Do you want to have a catch?" is just, you know, touching to me. It's not something that I get tired of hearing. But one of the most amazing things I think about the movie is how many fans come up and tell me stories about their fathers or their sons or, you know, the grandfathers that they played catch with. It's just kind of amazing that, you know, people recognize me still from that and that they would, I think they share sometimes stories with me that they've maybe never told anybody else. I sometimes feel like a priest who's hearing, you know, confessions as I, you know, travel across the country and go to softball games and all that. I mean, it's sort of what motivated me to write my book, If You Build It, because it was just so extraordinary that the movie had that kind of effect on so many people. They tell me amazing stories of how they hadn't spoken to their dad in 15 years. And you know, when they saw that movie, they just dragged him to see the movie and they watched it together and just realized, you know, how silly it was to be fighting with someone who's, you know, such an important part of your life. And I mean, that's what I always hoped movies would be for me. I wanted to be in a movie like It's a Wonderful Life and ones that kind of make you think twice about what you're doing in your life. And I just had the most amazing stories, people who've changed their careers because of Field of Dreams, because they had a dream and they never went after it, and they decide that it's time to do that. And I don't know, that part to me is more exciting than, you know, the little catchphrase of do you want to have a catch? But I do, when I'm conscious, I try to do my line, which is, I'd like that.
Yep. I think the beautiful thing about the film as well is that it means so much to so many people for different reasons. You know, you get 100 different people here to the field, and you'll have 100 different reasons of why they came. And I think that's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah, it's so true. And yeah, the movie has so many good life lessons in it that it's pretty great. You can take a lot of things from it. Eases pain, go the distance. You know, if you build it, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So let's kind of go a different direction here. If there's one thing people don't know about Dwier Brown, what's a fun fact about you, Dwier? What's one thing people don't know?
That's pretty good. Let's see. This is just a little dream fantasy of mine, but I think I might have the happiest life of anyone on the planet. I have an incredible wife who is funny and sexy, and we just have the greatest time. I get to travel places where people are always happy to see me, and you know, I have a modest home but with a beautiful view, and I live in, you know, a place where I'm not dealing with the polar vortex. And anyway, so I just have the most wonderful life. So that's probably something people don't know. I love hot springs. I travel. I try to find hot springs out in the wilderness and sit in them so I can feel what water from the center of the earth feels like. And what else? Oh, the farm that I grew up in Ohio didn't have an indoor toilet when we moved there. So I went to an outhouse in the dead of winter, just like, you know, probably people from another century, but yeah, that's in my past. So, those are three things I hope people don't know about me, but now they do.
And it's out there now.
Yes, exactly.
So what are your plans in 2019? Do you have anything in the pipeline that's exciting for you?
I am mostly doing a lot of touring because it's the 30th anniversary of the release of the movie. I'm going to be all over the country. I'm going to be in, from Las Vegas to Florida, from Minnesota to Texas. I'm going to be in vineyards and libraries and a lot of minor league baseball fields. I have my schedule on my Facebook page and on my website, so people can check it out. But if you're anywhere in the country, I'm probably going to be at a field fairly close to you because I've probably got 40 appearances this year, which is kind of extraordinary for me. There's a vineyard in Napa that built a baseball field in the middle of their vineyard for their workers to play on, which it's
Wow.
Boleto Vineyards. I'm going to be up there in April, and so it's going to be cool. We're going to do a screening of the movie up there. And anyway, that's it. If they made more movies like Field of Dreams, I would stick around and wait for those scripts to land on my desk. But now I'm going to make them send it to me while I play catch with people across the country.
Well, there you go. So we'll end it on, if there is one message that you want fans to take away from the Field of Dreams, what's that message?
Gosh, like I was saying, there's so many great messages in Field of Dreams. I'm doing a lot of speaking engagements these days, and it's just such a ripe field of things in that movie. But I mean, to me, the things that always resonate with me, and it may be more so as I get older, is that it's never too late to follow your dreams. I mean, I had a dream of being an actor, and I did that. I grew up on a farm. I mean, it was absurd. Everybody who I told when I was growing up that I wanted to be an actor, they just, they were kind enough not to laugh in my face, but, they would always be, well, what are you going to do to make money? Or, I just feel, and then, years later, I wanted to write a book, and I did that. I wrote a book, and it's an Amazon bestseller, and to me, that's amazing that I could, that if you have the persistence that you can do anything.
Yep.
And I think one of the most amazing things from the movie is that, you always have a second chance to make things right. I talk to a lot of sons whose fathers have already died, and, they feel like, oh, I wish I had been, nicer, and I wish I had been a better son, which is a feeling I share too. I was rough on my dad because he was strict with me. He wanted me to be this kind of person. And, when you're a teenager, you just feel like they're just being mean to you, as opposed to they're trying to mold you into, a good man. And, fortunately, I got a chance to kind of make my peace with my dad, but a lot of people didn't, like Ray Kinsella in the movie. And
Yep.
I believe that you can heal those things even if your dad isn't here anymore. I firm believer that the criticism of being a bad son or whatever, that's in your head, and you can work to get that out of your head. I think anybody who has those thoughts, their dad would probably be very proud that they're, still looking at that and trying to make good on that. So I love the idea that second chances are always available. And, the other thing about the movie that I sort of missed when I read the script and we were shooting it was, that line, if you build it, he will come. But the truth is that if you build it, no matter what that dream or project is, you never know who might come. In Ray's case, he wanted Shoeless Joe to come to the field, and sure enough, he did. But the magic of that movie is that after all that's done, after Terrence Mann walks into the cornfield and Ray brings all his, the Black Sox scandal players and many others out onto the field, and Doc Graham gets to turn back into Moonlight Graham, and that then his father appears, and that's who the whole thing was about. But, Ray didn't know that, and I just love that, I mean, it's so true of life. Now looking back on it as an older guy, I realized that so many of the things that I pursued for a reason that was very clear to me. I wanted to be a big star. I I got so much more than what I set out to get. I didn't get a big star thing. I missed out on those parts. I mean, I was down to the last few people on Risky Business with Tom Cruise, and I didn't get that. I was down to the last few people on Thelma and Louise, and Brad Pitt got that one. But John Kinsella is the part that I got, and it has been more magical for me than any of those other ones. And as frustrating as that might have been when I was eliminated for those other parts, I couldn't have imagined that Field of Dreams would still be being talked about the way it is 30 years ago. And even that first Don Lansing and then every owner since would have kept the field there. That's extraordinary that field has, art imitated or life imitated art in that case. And, Denise Stillman, who passed away this past year, she did everything she could to help keep that field alive. And I know there was controversy in town there, but I think her heart was in the right place, and I'm sad to see her go. I hope that she's living in the corn and will come and play softball with us this summer when I'm there, the day before Father's Day. So anyway, and I hope all the followers of the field and the fans will come out, because I truly enjoy meeting people and talking with them, and I'm going to really enjoy watching the field and playing the game on the field.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to having you out. So, Dwier, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we will see you in June.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Roman.
Yep, thanks, Dwier.